Hey, truth seekers, welcome back. Zach here. Those of us who are awake recognize the mainstream media is nothing more than an agenda driven propaganda machine. And for the last 3 years in this country, 2013 to present, the mainstream media has been bombarding the public with stories of shooting hoaxes. In all of these stories, the details are the same. The shooter has no motivation, they're suicidal, and no physical evidence of the shooting is given other than scenes where we've seen a strip mall with bullets in the glass. Anyhow, these stories are leaving a lot of us wondering where the government's taking us to. Many people think it's the end of the Second Amendment they're going for, a mass gun grab from gun owners in the public. I don't think this is the agenda. As I've been stating for months, these stories are fueling massive gun sales. With each passing month, new records are broken. Here's an article from yesterday, March 2nd, 2016. FBI processed 2.6 million gun background checks in February, third biggest month on record, fueled by Obama Clinton gun ban fears. And if you read the article, it says the record month was December 2015, so not long ago at all, with a record 3.3 million federal background checks were processed. And what that means is essentially there's 3.3 million new gun owners, or 3.3 million people who are new gun owners and already existing gun owners who got another weapon. If the government really wanted to limit guns, take away guns, they would have recognized long ago that this propagandist news coverage was not helping the cause. Because at the end of 2013, we were getting headlines that there were record gun sales that year. Then in 2014, new records, all the way up to the present. So in the time this has been going on, you know, gun ownership has become a lot more commonplace, and many people have a lot more guns than they had at the beginning of 2013. So, what makes the most sense is this right here, Truth Seeker. I just saw this article from Hillary Clinton. In 1993, Hillary Clinton said she was for a 25% national gun tax. And Hillary Clinton is very likely the next president of the United States. For all of you who comment that Obama will be the last president because he's the 44th, this thought comes from the fact that there were 44 kings of Israel. Well, keep in mind that Obama, he might be number 44, but he's really only the 43rd president because Grover Cleveland was president number 22 and number 24 in the history books. So Obama's president 44 in terms of order, but he's really only the 43rd man to be president. The next president will be the 44th person. 44 kings of Israel, again, is the reason so many people think Obama's the last president. Anyhow, Hillary, very likely the next elected president. The writing's been on the wall since 2008 when her and Obama disappeared off to the Bilderberg meeting. I suspect on that date in 2008, they were told exactly what would happen: Obama to be the next president, Hillary to follow. So, anyhow, Hillary, since 1993, has said that she favors this 25% national gun tax. And she also favors mandatory insurance for gun owners. As I've been pointing out, one of the only remaining industries in the United States is gun manufacturing. It makes sense. We're a militaristic nation. One of the only things left that we manufacture here are weapons. So, to take away guns, to outlaw them, would kill pretty much the only remaining industry in the nation. And the government, as we well know, is always looking for new revenue streams. Right now, they're experimenting with marijuana. But they always need new revenue. So imagine what a new national gun tax could do. We are a nation of gun lovers. Gun sales are always going to persist. Of course, a 25% national tax rate will decrease sales, but it will also boost revenue for the government. And mandatory insurance will do much the same. So, with regards to 25%, I think there might be a reason they've chosen that number because it's alarmingly high. I mean, what are we taxed at 25% for? Alcohol in some states? If you're new to my channel, I talk about gematria. The powers that be love this language of numbers coded within the words. And this language was a secret to me for most of my life, but once I've discovered it, I've found that it's a very real language. It's been used all throughout our history. It's used daily in the news headlines, and it makes a lot of sense out of things that previously don't make sense. 25% happens to have gematria of 86, which is a very special number. These words all have gematria of 86. Symbol, triangle, pyramid, republic, citizen. You know, we're a society that is ruled by symbols, corporate logos. With regards to our dollar bill, right on it, a pyramid, a triangle. Here's Hillary's quote from 1993. As she testified before the Tax Writing Senate Finance Committee on September 30th, 1993, Hillary Clinton was asked by Senator Bill Bradley if she supported the imposition of a new 25% national sales tax on guns. Clinton emphatically endorsed the tax, stating, "I am all for that." And here, let's just hear her in her own words real quick. From then, a much younger Hillary.
I'm all for that. I just don't know what else we're going to do to try to figure out how to get some handle on this violence.
There is no more important personal endorsement in the country today, and I thank you very much.
So there it was in her own words. And again, Hillary, most likely to be the next president. And with this ongoing shooting agenda, we know it's taking us somewhere. This outcome, I think, likely makes sense to a lot of you. We all know what this nation's about. We as a people, our role to the elites who rule over us is to extract wealth from us. That's why all of us pay taxes, and before we even see our paychecks, the government's already taken a big chunk out of it. Our purpose here is to raise wealth for the elites and to be experimented with. And these shooting hoaxes are very much an experiment to see how we will take them as a people. And like most things, we're shrugging them off as a society, not paying them much mind, tuning them out, not acknowledging the propaganda that is bombarding us. And with regards to propaganda, that's a word with 93 gematria. So here's Hillary back on September 30th, 9/30 in the year 93, talking about this 25% national gun tax. And this is the way our government works. Slowly, we are a people in a watch pot that's slowly boiling. You know, it's obviously heating up. We're getting shooting hoaxes at a rate of one a week. Last week, we got how many of them? I lost track. 3 or 4? So here's another recent headline from Hillary. This is October 5th, 2015, shortly after the shooting that took place supposedly in Oregon, Roseburg, Oregon. I have videos on what a hoax that was. Hillary said at the time, "It's time to act on gun violence. We simply cannot accept as normal 33,000 gun deaths a year." Now, I have never heard this stat before, that there's 33,000 gun deaths a year. I want to say in the film that Michael Moore made in early 2000s in the wake of Columbine, it's called Bowling for Columbine. I think the stat in that movie is that we have 10,000 gun deaths a year. I could be incorrect on that, but 33,000, that's an alarming jump from the numbers I've seen before. And that number 33 stands out. It's a number that's important to Clinton. Clinton is a name with 33 gematria. If you've never seen my video on how Bill Clinton got the last name Clinton, you should check that out. He was born William Blythe, his father, died on a date with 33 numerology, plus a whole lot more. Should also be noted that the word federal has gematria of 33. 33 is a very important number to the Freemasons and Zionists, who are the entities who have ruled over this nation from the beginning, and a number that gets coded into all of these shooting hoaxes, as I have documented since 2013. And I've even taken the time to decode the shootings that happened years ago up to the present. This number is always coded. So for her to say 33,000 gun deaths, you know, this is what I mean when I say these people operate by the numbers and are ritualistic about these numbers. Further explanation of why this number is used can be seen right here. In the Department of Defense U.S. Army Field Manual, it's Rule 33-1 that speaks to the Psychological Operations Program, and that is any form of communication in support of objectives designed to influence the opinions, emotions, attitudes, or behavior of any group in order to benefit the sponsor, either directly or indirectly. And that's what these shooting stories do. You know, they impact people different ways. There's a segment of the population that really doesn't like guns, wouldn't care if the Second Amendment was thrown out, wouldn't care if there was a gun grab. There's also a segment that loves their guns. They love to shoot, they love to hunt, they like to have them for the sake of safety and whatever other emotional response it brings to them. So these stories also serve the purpose of dividing the populace, getting people to fight amongst each other over these issues that should really be non-issues. But again, there's always a reason for these numbers. The Psychological Operations Program from our own military is Rule 33-1. If you've never seen my earliest videos, one of the first ones is that the mainstream media is a military psychological operations program, and I show how the news anchors from the very beginning of television up to the present have all come from military schools. It is no coincidence. This is a military empire. Everything in this nation is mostly controlled from a military perspective. The Democrats also recently proposed this bill, the mandatory liability insurance for gun owners. I am sure these are things we will see in time. You know, 5 years from now or sooner, I imagine this will be a reality. And probably the 25% gun tax as well. You know, this is the direction they're obviously taking us. There's a reason we're being bombarded with these shooting hoaxes. It's to make people cave in on these issues. Another recent quote from Hillary: I will try in every way I can to get guns out of the wrong hands. Talk about a political slogan, pure rhetoric with nothing behind it. I mean, just think about how empty that sentence is. How are you going to get guns out of the wrong hands? Does she think criminals are just going to come over and hand them over? That's the that's the other part of the reason there can't be a gun grab in this nation. There are more guns than people in this nation. There are so many guns on the black market, it would be impossible to track them all down. There are hundreds of millions of guns in this nation, many of them unregistered, again, many of them on the black market, essentially impossible to track. Just think about what they'd have to do. There's not that many people in the military. They'd have to coordinate the military, the National Guard, the police to go and do what? Search and seizure through the whole nation? Impossible. So the gun grab, that's just not realistic. Anyway, also notice how this phrase is emphasized. Anytime the media emphasizes a phrase, in every way I can, there's always hidden gematria there. The language coded into the words. That phrase has gematria of 174 and 75, just like New World Order. This is a New World Order nation. Whenever people say the New World Order is coming, that's a mistaken statement. This nation was created by the New World Order. That's the gang who came over from Europe, created a genocide out of the natives, and then spawned us, the populace of New World Order lemmings. So I want to show you something at the beginning of that article we were looking at. Remember, this is just from yesterday, March 2nd. They're talking about, the reason for all these increased gun sales. What's going on? They're saying all these scares are making people go out and buy more guns. And then they say, two high profile shootings took place last month. 6 people were killed and 2 injured in Kalamazoo, Michigan, in an attack allegedly carried out by an Uber driver February 20th. If you haven't seen my work on the Kalamazoo shooting, it is a complete tribute to the movie Taxi Driver, which came out in February of '76, 40 years ago. The driver's name syncs up with the character played by De Niro in Taxi Driver. And I've done even more research since. Get this. The movie Taxi Driver is based on a real-life character named Arthur Bremer who planned to assassinate Nixon and also George Wallace. And on May 13th, at the time, this man was nearly arrested in Kalamazoo while plotting to assassinate George Wallace. So, political assassination, think about how Taxi Driver, the film, is set in the year of a presidential election, just like this year, the year of the Uber driver Kalamazoo taxi shooting hoax. This is what's going on. The powers that be, they use the media as a propaganda machine. Their propaganda is filled with riddles from history, sometimes even tributes to movies, such as Taxi Driver. And Taxi Driver, in the film, De Niro's character drives a checker cab. Checker cabs were built in Kalamazoo, Michigan. So don't be deceived. The media is all propaganda, all lies. It's all coded with this numerical code, and it's all tributes to history. This is how they wage their agenda against us. They're a bunch of jokers, and they need to be exposed. Until next time, Truth Seeker.